On the lecture test, are there any pictures?
No pictures on the lecture test. All right, so if I put a double-headed arrow going from here to the surface and I said name this epithelium, transitional epithelium, and you should be comfortable with transitional epithelium because we're seeing these nice puffy little cells up on the surface here, and you can see all the way to the surface these cells are almost cuboidal in shape, okay? And for our other stratified epithelium that we had, they were squamous cells up at the surface. So that both of those features should key you in that this is transitional epithelium. And this is an epithelium. Does it have a basement membrane? Yes. All epithelia have basement membrane.
Is there loose connective tissue underlying every basement membrane?
The question is there a loose connective tissue under every basement membrane? No. But that's because in some of them we'll have two epithelial layers lying so close together that their basement membranes are fused to each other so then you wouldn't see connective tissue directly underneath it. Okay. And we'll get to that when we do kidney. Right, so epithelia is done. Any questions about epithelium?
Well, those are the questions you're going to ask, right?
Those are I might ask those questions, yes. But they're certainly, in terms of the way I've structured those, any of those are questions, yeah. All right. Just again, this is not going to appear in an exam, but what structure would you assume that this is given all of these cells here? A blood vessel, okay? And therefore we are looking at what kind of epithelium? Endothelium. Very good.
Are you with us?
All right. My pointer is sitting in the cytoplasm of what structure? This guy here, what is this? Goblet cell? Okay. Now, if I put an arrow going from the top here all the way down to the middle here, and I said, name this structure, if I want to be obscure, but what is the structure?
Is it tubular? Simple,
straight, tubular gland. All right? 4 words that you have to remember. Simple, it's straight, it's tubular, and it's a gland. Right? If I said name this gland, obviously simple, straight, tubular.
You said unicellular, is that too vague?
This is not a unicellular gland. Right? The goblet cell, if you said unicellular gland for the goblet cell, in this particular case, this simple, straight, tubular gland, most of the secretory cells in this gland are goblet cells. Okay? And they're secreting into the lumen of the gland. And in fact, I remember when you're asking that, saying, name this structure, and I was told lumen. All right? Because my arrow was actually all the way inside the lumen. Yeah, it's lumen. Don't try that. But it was a correct answer. And even if we're in this gland, let's just go and look at the surface again so you can just see how these look different in different sections. So from here to the surface, name this epithelium simple columnar epithelium. Okay? So you can see again, long, skinny epithelium.
Would you also call it ciliated?
Not ciliated. These are actually microvilli that you see up on the border here. All right, because this is part of your gastrointestinal tract. This is in your colon. No cilia here.
What about on the inside of the tubular gland? Is it all microvilli?
No, now inside the tubular gland itself, again you can see we've got these little terminal bars. All right, so that's going to cue you that these are still microvilli along here. But what you can see is that you've only got microvilli on the columnar cells. Your goblet cells do not have microvilli on the top of them. Okay. Now, so simple straight tubular gland, if we have to, you can see how I've had to go and hunt around on this tissue to find this nice straight section like this. If we actually move along around the corner, we're going to end up with a structure like this. All right. What we've got here is a very oblique section through those straight tubular glands. And you can see each one looks very similar to each other, but this doesn't look like anything simple and straight. Now, I wouldn't give you this in an exam, but just understand, because you have straight tubular glands, they have an orientation that you can cut them in cross-section and longitudinal section, and you see different things. All right. That becomes important because the next thing we're going to look at are these guys. All right. Now, you can see that we're seeing these also cross sections. All right. We've got pale staining regions, we've got darker staining regions, and no matter where I look, we have cross sections. So this is telling you that whatever kind of gland this is, doesn't matter where I move in this tissue, every time we see them, we see cross sections. So what kind of gland is this? It's a coiled gland, all right, and we know that this is a simple coiled. To me, in this case, simple is kind of superfluous because coiled glands usually are simple glands, okay? But this is a simple coiled tubular gland. Again, it's a single tube starting at one end, one tube, highly coiled. The bottom end of that tube is going to be the secretory portion. Then the top end of it is going to end up being the ductal portion, and the ductal portion in this case will wend its way all the way up through the connective tissue here. And you can see here's a duct, here's part of the duct, here's part of it, here's part of it here, going all the way up eventually into the surface. In fact, you can probably see it going through these keratinized cells here. There's part of the duct inside the epithelium, okay? So the duct itself is also coiled all the way up to the surface.
Do we have to know how to identify like a duct? If it's a duct in those?
No, but just conceptually to let you know that these are not little isolated structures just stuck in the tissue, that they have a bottom and a top end, and because they're exocrine glands, that duct is going to have to go up to a surface eventually. I would not give you a duct just pointing at one of those little things and saying, what is this? All right. Once we've done integument, skin, absolutely I could do that. All right, because by then we've started learning all of the different structures that make up the skin, and so you should be able to recognize it then.
When you asked what kind of gland, do we say sweat gland, or do you want
Now, if I asked you what kind of gland in this case and you said sweat gland, I would give you the answer. All right. But really what I'd be looking for at this stage, because we have not yet done skin, is I'm looking for the simple coiled tubular gland. Sweat gland just happens to be a great example.